Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing what is going on in the crypto market, what key events are happening that are really dictating and shaping the crypto market, and what we can expect moving forward, and sort of my thoughts along the way, reflecting on what's happening. And hopefully you can see my logic and reasoning. And if you cannot, then of course I welcome you to leave your comments and then we can have discussion this way. But all right, let us get started with seeing what is going on in the political landscape. Now, you may not like politics. I'm not here to tell you who you should vote for, although I'm going to share information as I've researched it that I think could inform your decision, right? Because we find that people take their political affiliations much like religion almost and get very defensive about it. So that is not my intention to make you vote one way or the other. I will share my opinion and why, right? And that of some top leading investors, because it basically comes down to from what angle or for what reasons are you voting, for what you're voting, like for who you're voting for. All right, so as you can see on my screen, as of today, September 12th, Kamala is leading by 1 point. And this is because, as you may have seen, or maybe you missed, and I'm here to help update you, Kamala and Donald Trump had their first official debate against each other yesterday, and in Pittsburgh, I believe. And it basically caused an eruption across all media platforms, all key thought leaders. We had Vivek. I was just watching it earlier. He was commenting on it. And we're going to go into a little bit more depth on these perspectives in this video. But basically, here's the skinny for you, is that you can just tell, because I watched it as well. Kamala is very scripted. Every word is very, it sounds so scripted. Like, don't take my word for it. Go watch it. And frankly, there were a few times where I was like, Obama? Like, it sounded like even her sentence structures and everything and her reactions, like she sounded like Obama. It didn't sound natural. And they were like interrupting Trump as he was, speaking. His mic goes off at one point. We know they don't have technical difficulties at that level of media, and they definitely shouldn't. But his mic would go muted for a few seconds, or they would interrupt him to fact check him, but they never fact checked her. There was a lot of, and then turns out like the lady interviewer turns out she's actually a friend of Kamala's. So that wasn't entirely fair, right? To have like a biased mediator or judge of sorts. So anyway, as of today, Kamala's leading by 1 point. But as you will see in a moment, it doesn't really matter because elections are in November and things change on the fly. So as of today, this is where we're at. But most importantly, I wanted to share this website with you if you're not already, not already up to date or following Polymarket. This is where a lot of traders actually will put in their bets and stuff, or on like which tokens they think will do well. But anyway, let's keep moving forward. This tweet I found relevant to share with you. I know it's 2 days dated or old. I'm actually retweeted it on my Twitter channel, Crypto by Jess, just like the name of this channel. And I share it with you because, as you can see on the screen, we know that one of the commitments that Trump has made or promises to the American people is that if he were to become president, that he says that, let's just read what it says. It says, the next president of the United States is a crypto bull who has publicly predicted that Bitcoin's current 1.1 trillion market cap will surpass gold's $16 trillion market cap. This is not priced in, so God willing. And so the significance here, and if you've watched my previous videos, you would know, is that he has a lot of policy lined up. He's like staffing up his team and bringing in some strategic crypto people to help advise and inform his reserve, uh, his like national reserve policy, right? And he said that he will back it by and with Bitcoin, because right now it's not backed by anything. It was supposed to be backed by gold, but that hasn't been the case for a very long time. So the US dollar is sort of like floating on nothing, on zeros and ones. It's just literally printed. So this would be a big deal if he were to back the US dollar and our Federal Reserve in Bitcoin. And this is how basically it would, its market cap would surpass gold's $1 trillion market cap, right? So that would be huge for Bitcoin. So just another reason to hold your Bitcoin and don't go sell it, please. Okay, this is right now, I know the market is still down, even though we had a little pump today. We're sitting at about 58,000 at the time of this video. But this is normal because if you go follow, other top traders that will break the market down for you carefully, and this is just sort of common knowledge in the crypto space. If you've been in crypto for a while, at least one bull run, then you would know that we're very much so within historical patterns. And Bitcoin for the month of September historically has always been a little down. It's been a boring month, right? And it's in October that the market takes off. So it's just very important to remember that we're still very much so within trend lines and historical patterns. But that said, let us segue into this clip, okay? I'm not going to read it for you in detail, but this is Andreessen Horowitz co-founders who are arguably, some of the biggest investors of our time. So it says here, Marc Andreessen, the co-founder of one of the most prominent venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, says he's been a Democrat most of his life. And you've seen that this election, you've seen how people are flip-flopping sides, right? Like, and I'm segueing for a second from what we're reading on the screen, but like the Kennedys, for instance, they have always been a Democrat family. And now all of a sudden we've seen Robert Kennedy break away to become an independent because he no longer agreed and could affiliate with the Democratic Party. So this is what he says. He's been a Democrat most of his life. He says he has endorsed and voted for Bill Clinton, Al Gore, John Kerry, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. However, he says he's no longer loyal to the Democratic Party. In the 2024 presidential race, he is supporting and voting for former President Donald Trump. The reason he is choosing Trump over President Biden boils down primarily to one major issue. He believes Trump's policies are much more favorable for tech, specifically for the startup ecosystem. So this is what I was telling you a moment ago at the beginning of my intro of this video, was explaining that everyone votes from a different angle. I was listening to some spiritual content. I'm a believer, and one of the key teachers that I was just learning from and listening to was saying that it really comes down to, what's important to you, and you have to vote from that angle, right? And so for me, and for many that I know, including Marc Andreessen, it comes down to what is most favorable for their investments and for the tech space and as entrepreneurs, right? And that for me on a personal level matters so much to me, including immigration, which is a separate issue. So this will not be a political video, but I'm just sharing with you that we have one of the best and top, arguably one of the best investors of our generation, leaving his position as a Democrat or his affiliation, aware of the fact that it will anger some of his friends, right? He's even hesitant, if we continue reading, he says he's even hesitant to share his position because he's worried about what his friends will say. Where is it? Yeah, see? He says, I wish we didn't have to pick a side, said Horowitz, who also acknowledged that his political choice would upset many of his friends, even his mother. He says, but we literally, let me zoom in for you, we literally believe the future of our business, the future of technology, the future of America is at stake, right? And I personally believe this, and once again, this will not be a political video, not 100%, but politics and regulation definitely affect the market. And they're going to have a huge impact on the next 4 years if we cannot play our part in defending our financial future. Anyway, let's move on. But this is just to share with you just a use case of people that are changing their political affiliation simply because it doesn't come down to who you like or even the title Republican or Democrat. It comes down to what policies are going to affect the market and who is proposing the most favorable policy. We know that Kamala has been very anti-Bitcoin and crypto, and that Trump is completely, championing it. All right, but let's keep moving forward, right? And then this sort of like summarizes what I was saying a moment ago, but it's like this is what he writes, right? Like if you're looking at my screen, he says debate TLDR. Number one, Harris was cool and in control because she got the questions ahead of time. Okay, if this is not rigged, I literally have nothing, I don't even know what to say, right? So of course she was cool and in control. But of course, for the majority of people who are not informed and don't know what's going on, it just appears like she did very well, right? Like she did better. Trump obviously was angry and unhinged at times because he's not someone who likes to be put in a corner, and he could tell like he was completely being, played, right? Number three, the modders were clearly voting for Harris, and as we know, one of them is one of her friends, okay? Number four, the market went down. So you saw that in the last the last 24 hours, this is why, right? And then how will undecided voters in swing states react, right? Because we know there's a majority of the states that are, well, not the majority, but there's a big chunk that are swing states. Like they're not like one or the other. They kind of change from election to election. So this is what he's saying, right? In his opinion, it doesn't matter really because the election day, which is November 5th, is too far out. And so much could happen from now until then, right? And this is why debates happen in October for a reason, because it's to allow the dust to settle and everyone to kind of take their position, right? Moving on. And these, like the next few tweets I'm going to share with you are just like really to the point, and I hope that they can just help open your mind and just help you see like what is really going on and what is what's what, and what matters. And this is what Elon had to say yesterday. He said, unless there is significant government reform, right? Because we know we're not voting for a candidate, right? Like we're pretty much up against systems. These candidates, right? Kamala, Donald Trump is definitely like an independent. But Kamala, right, for right now, representing the Democratic Party, she's just the face, right? She represents a whole system. Some would call it the deep state, but I'm not going to go that far. Right? So unless there can be government reform, like the whole system, laws, regulations will continue getting worse every year until every great endeavor, right? Like every great innovation. And then he speaks of himself, right? Like as a reference, he says, from high-speed rail between our cities, which is one of his projects, to making life multiplanetary is effectively illegal, right? Because why? I actually saw this in some news yesterday. Oh, he's on the All In podcast. If you don't follow them, I definitely recommend you go follow them. Super awesome. They had a conference event and Elon was one of the speakers. You can go check it out. Super good. And he talks about how right now their new Starship is ready to go, and it's been ready to go, but they have not received like approval from regulators, from the government. And he even jokes, he even jokes and says something like, how is it possible that they could build a whole spaceship in less time than it's taken them to sign and move a piece of paper from one desk in government to another desk? And this is why I think he writes this tweet, is because like effectively right now, he kind of has his hands tied. And we know, what was it, like in London, or someone commissioned him in Europe? Like, let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. I heard about it, but I don't have it to quote you right now. But I think they're asking him to go. And I think there's talks that they would like arrest him, right? Like if he were to go, because in London, in the UK right now, essentially it's illegal to write anything that they deem to be violent or that they disagree with, something like that. Go do your own research. I covered it in a few videos ago. So it's scary. They'll straight arrest you. Although I also read today that I think they have like legalized, or they're in the process of legalizing Bitcoin as private property. Like, so that's at least progressive. So anyway, just some news for you. But right now, back to what we're reading on the screen. This is what he's stressing, right? He says, Trump supports a government efficiency commission to allow great things to be done and efficiently, right? We know that he called his department Doge, Department of, what is it? Government efficiency, right? And that's what he's talking about in this tweet, is that it's just the government's not moving efficiently, and it's starting to hamper, or it's starting to stop innovation. And this is a problem because the US was founded on innovators, thought leaders, right? Trailblazers. That is what the US was founded on. And I love the US so much. I was there a few months ago. Hopefully going to be back there to vote as well. And another project we're working on, I will update you guys on later. And so this is what's really on the line. And this is what, he says. He goes, we will never reach Mars if Kamala wins. Why? It's not just against Kamala, right? And I'm not trying to like specifically make you feel or do anything, but she represents, like, my heart even goes out to her because she's just being used. She's a puppet. And the system that she represents right now is not an innovation. It's not a pro-innovation government. I'm sorry, like it's a sort of dated group of people leading our nation. But let's keep going. And this is just a snippet. This is Mario Draghi at the European Commission, who talks about the same thing, because Europe, as I just mentioned, the UK is like going as far as imprisoning and arresting people that speak up against the government, or like their laws that they have laid out. Like if people speak up, they will arrest them, right? And then I think they have another regulation where for everyone's protection, like they now have like some sort of direct oversight over their finances and transactions. And they're saying it's for their protection, right? So it's like, you see it all over the world, where it's like there's a real sort of shift happening, a painful shift between innovation and old mental constructs and philosophies in how to run the world. And they're really at odds with each other. And you see some nations leading the way in innovation, like El Salvador with President Bukele, I think it's 4 years since they have been like denominated in Bitcoin or brought in Bitcoin as legal tender. But then you have Europe like rolling out this really unprogressive regulation. And this is what he talks about. So I want to play it with you because it's so important to know what's going on all over the world in a snapshot, which is what I hope to bring you, so that you are informed and you know what's happening on a global scale. And this is why Bitcoin's price has sort of been struggling, right? Because there's so much mass adoption. You would wonder, like, why does the price not reflect this, right? Well, this is why, you know, and so I'm so happy that we have leaders all over the world that are speaking up, you know, and yeah, exciting times. But listen to what he has to say.
When I say the EU lacks focus, we proclaimed that innovation was at the center of our action, and then we basically did everything we could to sort of keep it at a low level. Regular barriers constrain growth in several ways. The EU's regulatory stance towards tech companies hampers innovation. And many of these laws take a precautionary approach, dictating specific business practices ex ante to avert potential yet undetermined risks. The General Data Protection Regulation is estimated to have reduced the profits for small tech companies by more than 15%. And we are killing our small companies. So with this legislation that we've given ourselves, we are actually self-defeating.
You see, self-defeating themselves with the regulation that they have rolled out. Unbelievable. And with that, I just quickly wanted to mention a few updates on what's been going on with Pavel Durov, Pavel's, Pavel Durov, which is Telegram's CEO, right? Telegram's a very popular, one of the most popular social media like chats, right? Like in crypto, everyone uses it. It's encrypted. And I guess if you weren't aware through other news or media sources, he was arrested in Paris because I guess there's been some illegal activity going on the app. And I guess French authorities said that they tried reaching out to him or Telegram, for cooperation, and that they didn't hear back. So that's why they arrested him, because it seems like he was in cahoots, or he was, like working, like he was sort of like helping them or something. But Pavel released two very powerful statements that I want to read to you, because it falls in line with the same mentality that we've been discussing here. And this is part of this great battle that we're seeing happening and rolling out on a global scale. And that is the powers, so to speak, of innovation, right? The spirit of innovation against like the mindset, the old mindset of the past, right? And they're at odds. And in some ways, I don't blame old political systems for not knowing how to govern Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or Telegram in Durov's case, because it's new, right? And when things are new, you don't always know how to handle them, and you make mistakes. So on the one hand, I'm not so critical, like on a personal human level, because I feel like that is part of a learning curve. A learning curve involves a lot of mistakes and mishandling and misjudgment, because it's just new. It doesn't fit within the old rules and paradigms, right? It's out of the box. So in that way, on a human level, I can understand regulators and like old judicial systems that just don't know how to handle crypto, especially because if you've been in crypto for some time, you would know it's quite complex, and it probably took you a while to get the hang of it. And it definitely took me some time to get the hang of it. And I live and breathe it since the moment I entered it. And I still have like gray areas that I don't like master 100%. And that's normal. You don't have to know everything about it. But I thought his tweets were so like perfect. Like they were completely like hit the nail on the head on what is going on. So let's just quick update for you. Yeah, take a listen.
Using laws from the pre-smartphone era to charge a CEO with crimes committed by third parties on the platform he manages is a misguided approach.
He emphasized the challenges of technological innovation, stating,
"No innovator will ever build new tools if they know they can be personally held responsible for potential abuse of those tools.
Acknowledging that Telegram is not some sort of anarchic paradise, Durov attributed criminal use of the platform to the rapid growth in its user base. He wrote,
That's why I made it my personal goal to ensure we significantly improve things in this regard.
adding that the company had already initiated internal changes and promised further updates soon. Durov was detained in late.
So that just goes into some background on how he was detained in Paris. But I thought those tweets, I hope you saw them on the screen a moment ago, but he's basically said exactly what I'm saying right now, which is that, you know, like these rules basically from the pre-smartphone era are just not up to date, right? He says using laws from a pre-smartphone era, right? Like before smartphones existed, how can you use those laws to charge a CEO for a platform from the future, right? Like it doesn't make sense. So the laws need to be updated, right? And it's just the approach is just not accurate, right? It's like judging, it's like, I don't know, trying to judge or qualify, I don't know, like math using like English rules or something. Like it's just, it's not apples to apples, right? But anyway, let's keep moving on. And here I have another very, very interesting piece of content that I want to share with you. This is Representative Sean Casten that basically touches on the same point. And the reason I'm sharing all of this with you, right, it may all sound kind of like more of the same or a bit redundant. It's not. I'm trying to really paint a picture for you and help you see how from different angles and on different platforms and on different levels in society, whether that be government, in the debate between Kamala and Harris, whether that be the recent situation with Durov, Pavel, you know, with Telegram being held responsible for illegal activities that happened on his, you know, social media platform, to what happened with Tornado Cash, although that was a little different because Tornado Cash did have a sort of like illicit sort of angle to it. But that's a separate topic. But the point is, like, on multiple levels all across the world and now in government, this conversation is pivotal. It's like it's at the peak of everyone's mind, as we saw in the European Union as well. Everyone's addressing this topic right now, and this is what he says. He says, if you make neutral technology, right, it just points that to the fact that the world just doesn't even know what to do with crypto and decentralization and all these decentralized applications, right? They just don't know what to do with it, right? So people are really making regulators wake up, and this is what this video is all about. He says, if you make a neutral technology tool that is used by third parties to launder money, then you are aiding and abetting a felony and therefore criminally culpable. And it's crazy to think otherwise. That's because running a pizza parlor as a front for a money laundering operation, right, is functionally no different than writing user agnostic, right, like user neutral software and publishing it to the blockchain, right? The congressman, let's just listen to what he has to say, right?
Is it your argument that if a DeFi protocol is found to be violating anti-money laundering rules, should there be any legal accountability to the creators, the operators, the people maintaining that service? Just yes or no? Should those people have any legal liability?
Those who are not decentralized, those who are custodial, have AML laws that apply, and they should be applied, and they should be enforced.
If it's a DeFi protocol, are you saying that there should, we're saying it's decentralized?
An immutable smart contract that I transact with?
I'm just asking yes or no. Should they have
As an
somebody write the
American,
code?
as an American transacting with a mutable smart contract, I'm transacting with my own funds. I should not be subject to the Bank Secrecy
Okay, so
Act.
you think, no, Ms. Tuminelli, you think yes or no? Should there be any liability that's there?
I think bad actors should be held liable for the bad conduct that they engage in. Not the developers, not the people who created the software. It's the bad actors who actually committed the crime. We should go after
So
them.
there should be no liability for the people who created the tool. So back to my pizza example. The people made the pizza joint, they used these laws. There should be no liability for them because they're just pizza producers.
If I make a neutral tool that somebody uses to
Okay,
commit crime, I should not be held responsible for that person's conduct.
Okay, Mr. Hayes.
You see?
That's bizarre. I mean, that's, It,
I love it. People are waking up all over the world. It's like amazing. But we are going to start wrapping it up. Okay. This is one of my last points I'm making. And then I'm just going to share some top tokens that I love quite a bit, if we are talking about love regarding tokens. So this is just really good food for thought, right? This is from Mark Moss. He says, does the presidential debate even matter? Maybe this is something you're asking yourself, right? Like, how much does it matter in the big picture of things and what's really at stake here, right? So this I found to be just such a good piece of thought. He says, does the presidential debate even matter? For the, sorry, I just pressed grok. We gotta love grok. Anyway, okay, let's go back here. For the markets, no, the debate doesn't matter. Yes, on all types of other issues, such as border, censorship, health, etc. But this chart below shows us stocks will rise no matter the president. We're about 3 years and 8 months into President Biden's presidency. During this time, the S&P 500 has risen about 50%. 3 years and 8 months into Donald Trump's presidency, before him, the S&P 500 had risen about 50%. And 3 years and 8 months into Obama's presidency, the S&P 500 had risen about 50%. And 3 years and 8 months into Clinton's presidency, the S&P 500 had also risen about 50%. Coincidence? Maybe not. It just so happens that the presidency runs on 4-year cycles. You know what else runs on 4-year cycles? Bitcoin halving cycles are the same time. ISM business cycles are at the same time. And debt. Well, the debt is running on a 4-year cycle with 75% of debt duration in a 1 to 5 year period. This means every 4 years, the debt hits liquidity pockets until the next round of easing is injected, which we know is like starting, excuse me, right around now, right? And then off to the races we go. So it's no coincidence that we get these huge liquidity injections into the market right before presidential elections, right? Like, none of it is coincidental. It's all connected, right? Which actually leads me to want to recommend a video for you on a really good theory on who may be the creator of Bitcoin after all, like who is Satoshi, because some don't know if Satoshi is a person or it's an organization, and many believe it could be the CIA, right? Because the code that Bitcoin was written in, the structure is written in a very particular structure that the CIA like only uses. So there's like theories there, but anyway, I will share this video with you at the end. It's very good. Right, so he just ends it with, so if you're an elementary kid looking for patterns, where do you think the markets go next? Where do you think Bitcoin ends up, right? The doomer bears will find themselves in disbelief again. So this is that chart that we were talking about a moment ago. It's just the global liquidity cycle, right? So we know that no matter who wins, the crypto market is going to pump. Bitcoin is going to pump, right? It's mathematical at this point. But what does make this, sorry, I'm cold and hot all the time. It's Thailand, guys. So you're hot outside and cold inside. What does make this election different is the crypto regulation aspect. That is what makes things different. And the US's debt and the fact that the world and the other major global market players like Russia, Brazil, and China, and Iran, they are moving away from the dollar. We know that Saudi broke away like just broke the petro US dollar like arrangement that has been going on for a very long time. They just broke it like a few months ago. It's a big deal. They're no longer going to be using the US dollar to, to buy or sell their petro. It's a big deal. So there are a few things that are different this time around. There are some global changes happening. And that is what does make the case from a financial market standpoint, from a crypto market standpoint. This is what does make the case for Trump, because he is like, if you go read anything about his campaign, which I've covered quite extensively in my past few videos, he's completely pro Bitcoin for like everything, right? Pro crypto, really wants to keep crypto innovators, entrepreneurs in the US, make crypto taxes favorable, bring Bitcoin mining back to the US, denominate the US dollar in Bitcoin, the Federal Reserve. He's really, really pro crypto. And what is really at stake is saving the US dollar this election. That is what's actually at stake. And Trump has a plan for this, and Kamala has not shared one at all and is not pro-Bitcoin because she doesn't understand it. It's not her fault. But she could surround herself with people that understand it. That she could do. And we have yet to see her do this, so let's see. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up. This is just funny. Here we see Trump. Sorry, this is just funny. We have to end it with this, guys, okay? Like, this is Biden, because we know that, like, he was, like, basically kicked out from the election, right? Like, he was running for president, and then they pretty much threw him into the hospital and said he had COVID, and then that was it. That was it of Biden. And then they put Kamala in place, right? So it was, like, quite humiliating for him, even though I think he probably appreciated it on a personal level. But this is Biden, and it's, like, he ends up wearing a Trump hat, and it's just like the most ridiculous interaction I wanted to share with you. Can you hear it? Let me turn up the volume. Sorry, guys. Let me turn up the volume.
Oh, sure. Remember your name? I don't remember my name. I'm slow. Stuart Park. You're an old part. Yeah, I know, man. I'm an old guy. And you're an old part. I know you would know about that. What? About being old. Oh, I know. All right. I'm a young timer. It reminds me of the guys I grew up with. There was always one in the neighborhood. Well, I'm the only one. There you go, man. I need that hat. You want my autograph? Hell no. You know my name. Come on. I ain't going that far. Yeah.
Check out what he puts on. A Trump hat. No way. So that could be a subliminal.
Hey, I'm proud of you now.
So I don't know if you could hear everything that he was saying, but basically, like, the guy asked him to autograph his hat, and then he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll autograph a hat." And then the guy is like kind of rude and sarcastic, and he goes like, "You remember your name?" And then Biden responds, "I don't remember my name. I'm slow," and everyone laughs. And then the man calls him an old fart. He says, "You're an old fart." And then Biden, says, "Yeah, I'm an old guy, ... You would know a lot about that." So he calls him old back. And then Biden says, "I need that hat, the Trump hat. Like, come on." Like, and then the crowd is like, "Put it on." And so Biden puts the hat on. And then the man says, "I'm proud of you now." Crazy, huh? So that could be totally like accidental and subliminal. I mean, it is Biden, but like, as incoherent as he might be, which he seemed a bit sharp in this video, actually, kind of witty with his comments. Nevertheless, like, I doubt he forgot Trump. So for him to put that hat on, who knows? And then in the debate, we heard Trump tell the public that actually Biden hates her. Like he makes that comment. You'd have to go watch the debate yourself to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It's been quite the video already. But I just wanted to run through a few of my top pick tokens for you. Just briefly, not all of them. I do promise I will cover my portfolio. It's just been a lot of travel lately. Although I am going on one last trip and then we're coming back and we're going to be focused and plug in to just focus on content. So anyway, this is one of my top picks, Pepe Coin, not Pepe, Pepe Coin. Can you see on my screen? Pepe Coin. For many reasons. There's actually a whole video I would encourage you to go watch. It's such a good video, and I'm not sharing it just because it's Kyle's, but because it's this one.
I always first start with the eyeball like this. It all started with a meme that dominated the world. Pepe, the feels-good frog from Matt Fury's The Boys Club. If you've been...
Pepe Coin. I will drop the link in the description below, but it's just the story. That's it. This whole video is just the story of Pepe Coin. And once you watch the video, you'll understand why it's a beast and why I know it's actually one of my largest holdings is in Pepe Coin, because it's more than a meme coin. It's actually linked to Based AI, and it's also linked to Kekbot, which is like a speech to trading bot. Crazy. And so that's one of my favorite picks. This is Pepe Coin. Just go to the website and then you'll see how to buy it there. I actually just started an Instagram for like bite-sized pieces of content. I'll also link it below, and I can, if you request it, I can show you how to buy it there. Just nice and quick little video on how to buy it. But my next pick would be Brett. If you watch the video I just shared with you, you'll understand why Brett is my other top pick, and I happen to know, yeah, for many reasons that it will do very well. Not financial advice, but this is just what I know. Next would be Chainlink. Chainlink is a beast. It's not a meme coin. It's a very serious token, very serious project. Like governments are using it and really big institutions. It's basically like, think of highways and roads connecting different points in a city, right? Chainlink is like that for all the different blockchains that exist. It basically connects them all, and it connects to the old world system, like hospitals and governments. Like it's the connector bit. So this is another massive one. This is a long-term investment. Next would be AOZ, AIOZ, AOZ. They're a beast. They're listed under NVIDIA's, like sort of like incubator, or like they're not incubator, but like it's listed under NVIDIA on the stock market is what I can tell you. They have a lot of mass adoption. Their chart has actually been doing really well despite the market being down. It's one of my like top performing investments right now. And that's because it's a bear market, as you would know. So go check them out. They're a whole world ecosystem. They're like AI meets YouTube, meets monetization of everything. It's like a world. And then the last one would be Commonwealth, because it democratizes or makes available to everyone, whether you have crypto or not, a lot of money or not. It allows you to invest into the top crypto investment opportunities that usually only like the top like 1%, 1% of investors get access to. It allows you to get access into those investment opportunities. So pretty huge. But anyway, guys, I know it was a long video, but I had a lot to share with you, and I hope you gained value, and I will see you guys here soon. All right, ciao.